45 The teachings of the Lord of the Second Coming. 3.1.2 The objects for the condition offered for the foundation of faith. 3.1.2.1 Abraham's symbolic offering. God commanded Abraham to offer a dove and a pigeon, a ram and a goat, and a heifer. 48 These were the objects for the condition, which he offered to restore the foundation of faith. But before he could make the symbolic offering, Abraham had to demonstrate right faith. Just as Noah before him was accounted righteous prior to building the ark as his symbolic offering. The Bible does not explain clearly how Noah demonstrated his faith, but from the verse, Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. 49 We can deduce that Noah demonstrated faith before he was deemed worthy to receive God's commandment to build the ark. In truth, those who walk the providence of restoration must continually strengthen their faith. 50 Let us investigate how Abraham strengthened his faith in preparation for making the symbolic offering. Since Noah was the second human ancestor, for Abraham to restore the position of Noah, he also had to assume Adam's position. For this reason, he was required to make a symbolic indemnity condition to restore the position of Adam's family before he could make the actual symbolic offering. In this regard, the Bible gives an account of a trip Abraham made to Egypt because of a famine. 51 In Egypt, Abraham feared that the Pharaoh would desire his beautiful wife, Sarah, and kill him if he knew he was her husband. While she posed as Abraham's sister, the Pharaoh took Sarah for himself. Thereupon, God chastised the Pharaoh. Abraham took back his wife, along with his nephew Lot and the abundant wealth which the Pharaoh had given him, and they left Egypt. Without knowing it, Abraham walked this providential course to make a symbolic indemnity condition to restore the position of Adam's family. When the archangel took Eve, capturing under his dominion all of Eve's descendants and the natural world, Adam and Eve were still brother and sister. For Abraham to make the indemnity condition to restore this, he was deprived of Sarah, who was playing the role of his sister, by the Pharaoh, who represented Satan. He then had to take her back from the Pharaoh as his wife, together with Lot as the representative of all humanity, and wealth symbolizing the natural world. This course which Abraham walked was the model course for Jesus to walk in his day. Once he had fulfilled this indemnity condition, Abraham was deemed ready to make the symbolic offering. What was the significance of Abraham's symbolic offering? For Abraham to become the father of faith, he had to restore through indemnity the position of Noah, whom God had intended to raise up as the father of faith, as well as Noah's family. Furthermore, he had to restore the position of Adam and his family. Abraham was thus required to offer in an acceptable manner objects for the condition to restore all that Cain and Abel were supposed to accomplish through their sacrifices, and all that Noah's family was trying to accomplish through the dispensation of the ark. Abraham's symbolic offering consisted of objects with such symbolic meanings. Abraham offered 3 types of objects as the condition for his symbolic offering. First, a dove and a pigeon. Second, a ram and a goat. And third, a heifer. These 3 sacrifices symbolized the cosmos, which was completed through the 3 stages of the growing period. The dove represented the formation stage, when Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist at the Jordan River. The Spirit of God descended and alighted upon him in the form of a dove. 52 This is because Jesus came to bring completion to the Old Testament age, which, as the formation stage of the providence, was symbolized by the dove. Moreover, there was a second reason for the vision of the dove alighting on Jesus. Jesus was to restore Abraham's mistake in offering this dove, which, as we shall see, Satan snatched away. The ram represented the growth stage, once Jesus had brought fulfillment to the Old Testament age, thus restoring everything represented by the dove. He commenced the New Testament age at the growth stage of the providence, when everything represented by the ram was to be restored. After John the Baptist testified that he had seen the Spirit descend on Jesus as a dove, meaning that Jesus was the one to complete the formation stage of the providence, he testified that Jesus would begin the growth stage mission, saying, "Behold, the Lamb of God, who takes away the sins of the world." 53. The heifer represented the completion stage. It is written that once When Samson put forth a riddle to the Philistines, they obtained the answer by having Samson's wife press him to reveal it. Samson said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle." 54 here. Metaphorically calling his wife a heifer. Jesus came as the bridegroom to all humanity. All devout believers should become his brides, awaiting the time of his return. After these brides celebrate the marriage of the Lamb with Jesus, their bridegroom, they are to live in the kingdom of heaven, in spiritual oneness with him as his wives. Therefore, the completed Testament age following the second advent of Jesus is the age of the heifer, or the age of the wife. The reason why some spiritual mediums have received the revelation that the present era is the age of a cow or heifer is because we are entering the completion stage. What were the 3 sacrifices to indemnify? Abraham was to restore by this, offering all that God could not restore through the symbolic offerings made by the families of Adam and Noah, offerings that were made properly, but then forfeited to Satan due to subsequent failures. Abraham's offering was also to make a symbolic indemnity condition, as restitution for their failures in making the substantial offering. In other words, the purpose of Abraham's symbolic offering, of the 3 types of objects for the condition, was to restore in his generation horizontally all the indemnity conditions which had accumulated in the course of the providence, vertically through the 3 generations of Adam, Noah and Abraham. Why did Abraham place the 3 sacrifices, the dove and pigeon, the ram and goat, and the heifer, symbolizing the formation, growth and completion stage in one altar? Before the fall, Adam was responsible to grow through all 3 stages in his one lifetime. Similarly, Abraham, now in the position of Adam, was supposed to restore, all at once, the long providence, which God had conducted through the 3 providential generations of Adam formation, Noah growth and Abraham completion. Through one offering, he could restore all the defiled conditions, containing the number 3. The symbolism of Abraham's sacrifice reveals God's will to fulfill the entire providence of restoration once and for all. Now let us study how Abraham made the symbolic offering. He said to him, "Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a she-goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." And he brought him all these, cut them in 2, and laid each half over against the other. But he did not cut the birds in 2. And when the birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and lo, a dread and great darkness fell upon him. Then the Lord said to Abram, "Know of a surety that your descendants will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be slaves there, and they will be oppressed for 400 years. Gen. 159-13. Because Abraham did not cut the dove and pigeon in 2 as he should have, birds of prey came down and defiled the sacrifices. As a result of his mistake, the Israelites were destined to enter Egypt and suffer hardships for 400 years. Why was it a sin not to cut the birds in half? This question can be understood only with the help of the principle. Let us first investigate the reason why Abraham was instructed to cut the sacrifices in half. God's work of salvation aims to restore the sovereignty of goodness by first dividing good from evil, and then destroying evil and uplifting the good. This is the reason Adam had to be divided into Cain and Abel before the sacrifice could be made. This is 45 the teachings of the Lord of the second coming. The reason why in Noah's day, God struck down evil through the flood judgment, and winnowed out Noah's family as the good. God had Abraham cut the sacrifices in 2, before offering them, with the intention of doing the symbolic work of dividing good from evil, which was left unaccomplished by Adam and Noah. The sacrifices were to be divided, first, to restore the situation in Adam's family, in which Abel and Cain were divided into a representative of good and a representative of evil. Second, it was to restore the situation of having divided good from evil during the 40 days of Noah's flood. Third, it was to make the symbolic condition to separate a realm of good sovereignty out of the universe ruled by Satan. Fourth, it was to make the condition to sanctify the offering by draining out the blood of death, which had entered fallen humanity when they were bound in blood ties to Satan. Why was it a sin not to divide the offering? First, not dividing the offering has the significance of not dividing Abel from Cain. Without being divided, the offering could not be acceptable to God, because it did not provide him with an Abel-type object partner, which he could take. Consequently, the mistakes Cain and Abel had made in their sacrifices were not restored. Second, not dividing the offering was tantamount to repeating the failure of the providence in Noah's time, when good and evil remained undivided despite the flood. Like the failure of Noah's family, Abraham's failure to divide the offering also deprived God of his good object partner. Thus, it repeated the mistake which made the